I'm meteorologist John Dawson. This is the Fox 26 Tropical Update just for YouTube. Glad you found us here, and we will continue to keep you updated on what's happening across the tropics every single day of hurricane season, whether it's very, very quiet or like today, very, very not quiet. There is a lot going on and a lot of impacts on the United States, but it's the Pacific where most of the action is. I'm sure you've heard of Hilary. We're going to dive into Hilary in just a moment, but for all my Fox 26 folks, we're going to touch on the quick update here with this potential for tropical development in the Gulf of Mexico. National Hurricane Center now giving a 10% chance over 2 days, and what we're more concerned with, that longer range, that 7-day outlook, 50% chance that that low pressure system, that tropical wave that moved through the Bahamas and now just to the north of Cuba, beginning to get into the Gulf of Mexico. And it might be a tropical cyclone before it's all over with. Still expecting it to be relatively weak, though, whatever it does end up. But now let's get to Hilary, because I think that's probably why most of you are here, to get the latest on Hilary. And as expected, Hilary is pretty much doing what we would think it would be doing as it moves into cooler waters, and that is weakening. Do you see what we've done here in the last 12 hours? We've gone from a Category 4 hurricane to a Category 3 hurricane, and then the latest update from the National Hurricane Center, the 4 p.m. update, Central Time 4 p.m., is a Category 2 hurricane. So that's all good news. We expected it to do that. There's no surprises there, but what we really need is a little less rain. And that's the part that we're not going to be able to make any promises on. So giving you these stats here, again, 4 p.m. Central Time. We're here in Houston. Current wind speed at 110 miles an hour. Moving pretty quick at 17 miles an hour to the north-northwest. That pressure is about 959 millibars. And you'll notice by the time we get to Sunday morning, so that's about 12 hours, give or take some, we're looking at that wind speed to still be hurricane strength, but then by the time we get to the afternoon, so 24 hours from now, we are expecting that to weaken and probably even so it's not a hurricane anymore. It'll be a tropical storm. Now, strong tropical storm force winds, but still tropical storm, and then it would be more of a depression once we get even a little bit further. So normally, you know, our forecast cone goes out several more days, but this is just about as long as the tropical characteristics will carry Hilary. Now in a moment, I'm going to show you one of our future casts that show potential for rainfall, and you're going to see that Hilary's got a lot more left in it after it loses its tropical characteristics. But in the short term, in the next 24 to 48 hours, Southern California and the rest of the southern portions of the U.S., Nevada, Arizona, definitely focused, even in the Utah, focused on the rainfall that's coming that direction. So kind of getting a little bit more of a pinpoint. It's not as much of a wind threat. So even when we're talking about here's where the center of the low pressure will be on Monday, the rain will be well out ahead of that. The rain threat will be coming earlier, and we're going to look at some possibilities for excessive rainfall or what would be considered flooding. And want to start with this computer model, what we've been talking about as far as the rainfall. This is the European model, which is the one that I'm going with today as far as what I think is in the best agreement with what actually happened and in comparison to what the actual model is saying. You see that very heavy rainfall that's going to be happening in the next 24 to 48 hours, and then you saw how it continues to move around to the north. And then let's not forget what's happening in South Texas as well, with whatever develops into the Gulf of Mexico would definitely bring rain to South Texas, it looks like. But for us, those of us here in Southeast Texas, we're looking for some rainfall as well. This is a full 7 days of worth of rain that we're talking about. So definitely going to just step off here just a minute and sort of back this up just a little bit to sort of show you what we're talking about with that rainfall, with the potential of it happening. We're going to see that rainfall continues to be going north of the California area, and then this is a separate system that's bringing the rainfall down to South Texas. So here's that excessive rainfall outlook that I was talking about. So this is from the Weather Prediction Center, where we could see flooding within 25 miles of any location, and you'll notice all the way up to this higher threat, the 40%, the numerous spots of flooding. That's going to be right in Southern California, gets into near Los Angeles as well, but this sort of spreads out. Even if we use the 15% of the scattered, that moves all the way into to several different states. When we focus, that was first one was for Saturday. When we look at what we're looking at Sunday, this is when the rainfall really starts to pile in. So look how much of a higher threat area this makes, and that's going to be that widespread flooding. So this is where the concerns are. The folks here in this part of the country just don't get inches of rain at a time. Those of us here in Houston, we see that. We see inches of rain, and our terrain deals with that quite a bit better than what we're looking at here. So this is where we need lots of precaution, lots of safety, lots of getting ready and preparing for a soaking, and even more so where we could begin to see some dangerous situations with excessive amounts of rainfall. And then once we get into Monday, still some threats continuing to the north, and we talked about that. It's even going to last a little bit longer than that. So what we're expecting to see as far as the activity in the tropics, we are seeing that. This is the Atlantic Basin, and I'm going to show you here in a minute what's happening in the Atlantic Basin, and things are really just spiking as far as the activity, and that's pretty much what we'd expect. So we talked about our potential development in the Gulf of Mexico already. Currently, that low pressure system is over here outside of the Gulf. Once it gets into the Gulf, especially Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is kind of that time frame when we're watching that. But look at these other spots in the Atlantic. 4 other spots, not counting the one that's going to be coming into the Gulf of Mexico. Brand new one just rolling off of the coast there. Only about a 20% chance right now. This is going to encounter some dust as well as some already disturbed areas already. But then we've got a spot that's been given an invest. If you keep up with the actual the invest areas, this is 98L. This is the red area. This is going to be 70% chance from the National Hurricane Center. So very likely that this would become a tropical storm. And then we're just going to keep going, right? Here's another invest area. This is 99L and also 70% chance. So another very likely spot that will have a named storm that could be forming. And then we'll just keep adding it up some more. Here's another area of disturbed weather over in the western portions of the Atlantic, starting to get into the edges of the Caribbean. 40 to 60% chance that it would develop over the next 7 days into a tropical cyclone. So this one will probably make it into the Caribbean for sure. These other ones probably will stay out in the Atlantic. Have to kind of see how it all unfolds, but lots and lots of things happening in the Atlantic. So here's what we're looking for as far as our area of disturbed weather in the Gulf of Mexico. We know there's going to be a tropical wave. At this point, I'm feeling much more confident that it will become a tropical cyclone, a depression or a tropical storm most likely. And on the weaker side of things, that's going to bring more moisture overall, increasing the cloud cover and rain chances for all of the Texas area. And then the Tuesday through Wednesday time frame is when we're focused, I think, when we will see more chances for rain. Exactly how much rain, that's the question mark still. How much rain? Who's going to get the rain? I think it's going to come to Texas, but where exactly in Texas is certainly unclear. And then that's partly because we're not exactly sure on the track or the intensity as a part of that. So the names, all that stuff happening in the Atlantic right now, let's start checking off names. We're going to be using some of these pretty quick, and we'll see exactly how far down the list we get in the next 5 to 7 days, but I'm sure we'll be clicking a few of these off. The next one to form will be Emily. Most likely one of those 2 areas, those invest areas out in the Atlantic, will probably get Emily and Franklin, and then we'll see how the others unfold. But those 2 are just about ready to become tropical systems. Hope you're following me on social media at John Dawson Fox 26. If you want to find some hurricane preparedness videos here on YouTube, that's better to use the search bar and look for meteorologist John Dawson. I've got all my hurricane preparedness videos, the hurricane gear test. You can check those out for sure and see some ideas to kind of help you stay prepared. We'll be back here again tomorrow in the afternoon with another update on Hilary, as well as a very busy Atlantic.